What's going on, Legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on Black Ops 6 Zombies here with another new player guide. Today we're focusing on augments and the priority in which you should be unlocking them. Now again, this is specifically for new players, but obviously if you've made some progress, you may choose to change your process as well, just based on what I'm sharing with you today. So what I decided to do was compile a list of augments in which order you should unlock them. That way you know when you're a new player which direction you should be going in. I considered low level, things you might not have access to, things you might lose access to because you choose to prestige in the future. All of those things are things I considered for this. And the way that I put this together was based on survival and things I think will help you the most initially as a new player. So we're going to go over the augments. We're going to go over not every single item in the game, but a good portion of them. And I'll explain what you're using, why you're using it, and why you kind of want to unlock it in the order that you will. So just in case there's some players that are out there that are so new, they don't even know how to research augments or unlock them, you're going to need to go over to your weapon section here, same place you craft your loadout. You're going to hit the augment section. You have your choice to equip augments, which is where you're going to put them on once you unlock them. And then right here to the right, we have research. Now off the rip, a lot of these are going to be locked and you won't even be able to research them. You do have a minimum requirement that you have to fulfill, I guess you should say, for them to kind of unlock as they go, but it's pretty straightforward. You just have to unlock total number of augments in order to continue unlocking these, and that's kind of how I crafted the order in which you should go in. So we're going to start off first with Deadwire. You're going to have this off the rip. Zero unlock requirement for this. You should just be able to go ahead and come in here and click on this to research it. The thing you're going to be going for is Lightning Strike is your major augment. A bolt of lightning strikes from above, stunning all normal and special enemies in the area. And then the next thing, the Miner, you're going to want to focus on Haste, as it'll allow you to get that Deadwire cooldown to be slightly reduced, giving you more activations, or at least more often. I'll talk about it a little bit more once we get to these other ones later on, but specifically with Deadwire, it's not only one of the best ones for crowd control, you're going to have access to it early no matter what. So even if you do Prestige, you won't lose access to it. So once you selected your Deadwire, you've unlocked all the way through, you have now fulfilled 6 augments total as your unlocks, which are going to make the future ones you select a little bit more available, right? So after this point, you should actually have a lot more available to choose from, but you're going to go over to Quick Revive because I feel like it's just one of the most important things to get early on, and you're going to go ahead and research this. The thing you're going for is going to be Dying Wish as most important. On lethal damage, you will become immune to all damage for 2 seconds and keep 1 health. Quick Revive is then removed on use, so you'll have to go back and repurchase it, but you can do this 3 times. This is basically like an extra self-revive that can help you whenever you find yourself in a pinch, right? You end up losing it, you know that you actually took too much damage, and then you can go ahead and re-grab it, and you don't lose your self-revive, which are extremely limited, being that you can only purchase 3 through the crafting table. So I think this is easily the best and most important augment to get for Quick Revive, and getting it early on, being that Quick Revive is available on all the maps, will give you more opportunities at survival, especially as a new player. The other thing for the Miner augment isn't really as important, as most of these are team-based, but I think you just go for slow death, increase your time in last stand. Now, once you've unlocked all the Quick Revive augments, you're going to swap over to Juggernog. At this point, you've actually already done 12 total augments, so a lot of these options are going to be unlocking, giving you more options to choose from. We're almost at the point, actually, where those will all be unlocked because of the amount of augments that you will choose to do. But for Juggernog, we're going to be focusing on 2 specific. Probiotic is my choice. Now, this is very controversial. This is probably one of the more controversial augment choices you can make because people find value, I think, in all 3 majors. But for me specifically, I like the slightly increased maximum health with Juggernog, so I throw on Probiotic. And then you could do hardened plates, as armor plates will have more damage mitigation in this game. Although you do wear armor, you take damage through that armor, and it is nice to have a little bit extra support from the armor that you're wearing. So I like to choose that hardened armor plates there, as it is a way of making the armor a little bit more effective. Now at this point, you have a total of 15 augment unlocks, which is going to allow you to select PhD Flopper. So now we're at this point. PhD Flopper itself isn't my favorite because you do have to actually flop, and the diving animation and the getting up off the ground animation is kind of slow, so definitely not the plan that I would go with. But once you actually get some augments for it, it is one of the best perks in the game. So you're going to be shooting for PhD Slider. Unfortunately, it's the final unlock. Sliding into enemies triggers explosions. Instead of having to dolphin dive, basically, you'll just get to slide into enemies, and anything you hit will explode. It's very good for getting enemies out of your way, especially when you get into those later rounds and there's less places for you to kind of travel through. You can kind of push some of the zombies out of your way by making them explode and move them out of the way. And then the other thing you're going to want to get for your Miner is Tribologist. Sliding distance and speed are increased. This helps a lot for getting through those tight spaces, especially again at those later rounds, where maybe it's a little bit harder to get through and you can kind of force your way through in combination with PhD Slider. Easily one of the best setups in the game and one of the most important perks to get those augments unlocked for. Now at this point in the unlock process, you probably have unlocked enough augments. Even if you only unlock the first 3 for Juggernog and you move on to PhD, by the time you complete all of the ones you need for PhD to get to the end, you'll be at 21 total augments, and all of these should be available to be unlocked, or to be able to be researched, I should say. So you should no longer have that obstacle of needing to continue unlocking augments to then select any of the ones we have going forward. But we need to move to a field upgrade here, as it is going to be one that you'll have access to in the low levels or even after you prestige, and that's going to be Frenzied Guard. The goal for this one is that you're going to want to make your way over to Retribution, the 4th unlock, as it will trigger an explosion on activation. Normal enemies that melee you are then damaged and knocked down. It's going to be really nice because you won't have access to Ether Shroud at the really low levels. To have something that can help you once you kind of get trapped or in a pinch. And then the other option that you're going to need, or for your minor augment, I highly recommend that you go with the extension, so that way you just get a longer Frenzied Guard duration. You could also choose the repair boost, as it will give you more armor per kill. But ideally, you're just trying to get out of a sticky situation. I think having the Frenzied Guard go a little bit further can be really nice, and you will be able to kind of obviously fire at the exact same time, giving yourself a little bit of an out. As far as the early game ones are concerned, between this and the Energy Mine, it's a no-brainer to do Frenzied Guard. And later down the line, you'll likely even switch to Frenzy Fire, which allows you to use ammo from your stock. It just kind of depends on how familiar you get with the game. Now we're moving back over to perks. I know we're focusing a lot on perks, but perks are one of the few things in the game that doesn't get lost, or progress doesn't, get hindered in any way by prestiging or leveling in any way in the game. So we're moving over to Deadshot. This one's actually really important because it's going to give you extra damage toward armor. And we're going to be using Deadhead as our major, which is our further increased critical damage. Going to be helpful for those headshots, of course. And then Dead Break is where the armor part comes in, and you will get increased damage to armor pieces. Armor is going to be your biggest hurdle, especially as a new player, as you're progressing later into the rounds, because those zombies tend to take a lot more damage. And obviously, the slower you are eliminating them, the more easy it is to get overwhelmed by the rest of the zombies that you're dealing with. So I feel like setting yourself up early. Luckily, these are like the first and second unlocks, and we're no longer at the point where we're kind of trapped as far as what we can select based on total augment unlocks anyway. So you can unlock the first couple of this one, equip them, and then move on to the next one, which is going to be Elemental Pop. Elemental Pop's extremely useful, and it's going to allow you to take advantage of all ammo mods as long as you have the right setup. But for starting out, I think I recommend going for Citrus Focus. If a weapon has an ammo mod applied, Elemental Pop will only activate that one. Because you have Deadwire and it's one of the most useful ammo mods in the game, you'll have access to it at all times. I think having Citrus Focus on until you have a lot more stuff researched is probably the best option, because then you can equip Deadwire to your weapon. Then with Elemental Pop, you'll have a second opportunity at activations. Just consider it like this. The ammo mod equipped to your weapon has its own set of activations that it does, and then Elemental Pop also has its own set of activations that it does. So you will be able to get possibly 2 activations back to back, depending on how they line up. But more importantly, you'll just have an extra option or an extra chance at Deadwire going off. Then for your minor augment, I just recommend using Vulnerabine, as it slightly increases enemy elemental weakness damage. The good thing about Deadwire in general is not only does it break armor, it also does a significant amount of damage. So multiple activations on the same group of zombies may even have the chance of eliminating a lot of that group, especially if their elemental weakness is increased. Next, we have a Double Tap. This one wouldn't be so far down the list, even though it is one of the newest perks, if it was more available on the other maps. Now, this is mostly available on Shattered Vale, although you can get it on the older maps just using the Wonder Fizz, but that's not available until 25. And being that this is geared towards new players, I feel like a little bit less likely that you guys are making it to 25 consistently, at least at this point. So although I have Double Tap on this list, it is just because you will probably eventually head over to Shattered Vale. It's going to be super awesome to have some of these augments unlocked. So first thing I definitely recommend going for is Double Impact. Unfortunately, it is going to be the last one, but double hits on the same target in quick succession deal more damage. So it's going to give you even more damage than you obviously would have without it. So anything that's going to give you more damage, especially as a new player, is going to be a great option to have. Make sure you focus on that first. The next thing you're going to want to use is Double Time. Why not just increase the fire rate bonus even further? With Double Tap, you're going to get increased fire rate. It's actually going to blow your mind the first time you do it because it's just so much fun to use. this is just going to take it one step further. I think if you are going to make it to 25 and get access to the Wonder Fizz, these are also nice to have, but this is more specifically in addition because I know a lot of players are going to like Shattered Veil, not only because it's new, but because it is one of the best maps in the game. Now, you're probably wondering at this point, you focused a lot on perks, you gave me a field upgrade and an ammo mod, but what about the rest of them? Well, unfortunately, a lot of them are going to be locked behind levels, and it's kind of going to be hit or miss on who has what available, especially when it comes to new players. And I also have to consider that you guys are prestiging, but we're going to head into the other ammo mods, specifically because you are going to have access to Elemental Pop. So you're going to want to have augments equipped on these because Elemental Pop, once you switch from Citrus Focus, which we talked about, which you will then do once you actually go through and unlock some of these other augments, you can switch to Errl Peach, and that's going to allow different activations to go off. And then you can take advantage of the augments that you unlock on the other ammo mods that are not equipped on your weapon, and then have even more opportunities to have, crowd control and other effects take place. So for Napalm Burst, you're going to want to go ahead and get Firebomb. Burned enemies explode on death, spreading the fire to nearby enemies. And for your Miner, you're going to be doing each tick of damage does have a small chance to spread to a nearby enemy. It is kind of important to note, most of the ammo mods in this game, at least from my standpoint, you're going to want to build for crowd control and utilize through Elemental Pop. And then the one main one that you're going to want to utilize on your weapon, you'll just equip onto your weapon. It is kind of hit or miss on whether or not you want to use that for big game, or you want to use that for, crowd control as well. For Cryo Freeze, another one I'm going to build for crowd control. What you're going to want to be working toward is Ice Cloud. Enemies that are killed while frozen may leave a cloud that slows down enemies. This can be incredibly nice, and the area of effect is really pretty decently large, even without the extension augment. But for our Miner, we're going to be using Liquid Nitrogen, significantly increase your chance for Cryo Freeze to activate. The more often it activates, even if it's through Elemental Pop, the more often you're going to get those ice clouds, the better off you're going to be. Next up for crowd control, Brain Rot. This one's actually a lot of fun to use. First thing you're going to want to unlock is Pheromone. The charmed enemy distracts nearby normal and special enemies for a short time. This works almost like a decoy grenade, so it's really helpful when it actually goes off, especially, again, if you're not having it equipped with the weapon and it's just through Elemental Pop. Why not? Then for your Miner augment, you're going to go Explosive. Charmed enemies explode at the end of Brain Rot duration, dealing toxic damage. Now, this is really nice. Not only is it going to attract them all, kind of like the decoy, it functions secondarily similar to like a Monkey Bomb with a toxic explosion that does obviously do some damage to them in a crowd control fashion as well. Now, this is going to be the only ammo mod we're not building for crowd control, and this is Shadow Rift. Shadow Rift is really good for helping you out against the elites. Sometimes I like to equip it on my weapon as the main and use the rest as crowd control, like I was saying previously. However, this is also something nice that you can just equip, have it set up ahead of time, and utilize it through Elemental Pop as well. Again, you don't have elites all that often, so you may not see it valuable to put on your weapon specifically, as you might want to just rock Deadwire, but you are going to want to first, obviously, for Major, get Big Game. Shadow Rift can activate on elite enemies, although it may need to activate multiple times in order to actually eliminate it. Even if it activates one time and does a good chunk of its health bar, it's going to allow you to get to those more difficult enemies a significant amount of time faster, right? So it is definitely worth running at least one thing on Big Game, and I think the best option for that in this is Shadow Rift. Then for your Miner augment, you're going to go with Haste. Shadow Rift cooldown is greatly reduced, allowing you to get more activations if it's even possible, to then help you take those elites down quicker. Now, the last one that I want to go over is going to be Aether Shroud. And the reason it's at the end of the list or so late in the game is just because it's accessible at like level 47 or something. So a lot of new players aren't going to have access to it. If you prestige, you're going to lose it, and then you won't get access to it again until late in the game. So I am going to include it here because I am recommending that if you do prestige, use that first prestige token on the Aether Shroud. It's going to be one of the most beneficial field upgrades for a new player and just in general, as it does completely put you into the Dark Aether, where you become temporarily hidden from enemy detection, allowing you to hit perk machines, hit crafting stations, or just put yourself in a much better scenario. If you're on the new map, the Shattered Veil, it's extremely useful for taking out the Disciples. So for the Aether Shroud, you're going to want to focus on Burst Dash, which is the 4th upgrade. You're going to warp forward a short distance, killing all normal enemies in your path. This is nice just because it gives you an extra layer. If you get a ton of zombies in front of you and then you pop this, you'll just blast through them, eliminating them all. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter all that much because Aether Shroud itself, by default, is doing exactly what you need it to do. Then for your Miner augment, extra charge is definitely the way to go. Increase your max charges by 1, allowing you to hold 2 at once. That way, if you get stuck and you just need to get free, you just pop your Aether Shroud, work your way out of that scenario. Or, again, like I said, pop it, challenge that Disciple, and put yourself in a better chance at survival there. So that's what I always use Ether Shroud for. It's more of an escape thing, or trying to hit a machine, or going to the Wonder Fizz, or just some sort of thing where I feel like I just need a little bit of time to do whatever I'm trying to do. I just pop the Shroud and have that available and keep myself alive. But that is going to be the entirety of the list that I have currently for those of you that are new to try to go through and unlock all of these augments. It's going to take you quite a long time to unlock all the augments in the game. And if I didn't list it in this video, it's not that it's not important or that it wouldn't be helpful. It's just not in the top of the list of priority. And I think once you get through this entirety of this list, you can then start focusing on those other options and equipping those and just giving yourself more benefits. I didn't go through every perk, obviously. These are the ones I think are the most important. We didn't go over every ammo mod just because the Lightman doesn't do all that much. And I gave you a pretty good setup for the rest of them. And then obviously with field upgrades, I honestly think outside of Frenzied Guard and Ether Shroud, it's pretty situational on what other ones would be even decent. So hopefully this will help you guys on your journey. Hopefully this helps kind of help you understand the augment situation, how you should go about unlocking them, how to prioritize them, and get you guys in a better place, having better experiences here in Black Ops 6 Zombies. But that's going to wrap things up for us here. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support on the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!